Hey guys, been a long time since my last new Xtreme pickups video, but today I got something I'm really excited about. It's actually a huge box, so I can't pick it up like I normally do on all the other ones, but yeah, we're gonna open it, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it is. Alright guys, got the box open. Had to actually switch angles right now because this box is so big. Yeah, there's a box here. I don't know what this is yet. We'll take a look at that. Get all this crap out. A big case here. Whatever this package is was packaged really well. Just packing this big suitcase. I shouldn't have opened it yet, but Alright, so I got the main suitcase out of the box, but we're gonna show everything slowly. But first we're gonna show the main event. Alright, unwrap it. Everything's all nice and bubble wrapped. And on a sec. Alright, now we took all the bubble wrap off this. We're gonna start off with the main event. It is an Amiga CD32 by Commodore. And this was a console released in 1993. It was one of Commodore's attempts to make a video game console. Now, I know most of you guys might know of Commodore from the Commodore 64, the computer released in 1982, as well as the Amiga computer line. They also had some consoles that they tried to do, like in the early 90s they tried a Commodore 64 console, and they tried a Commodore CD-TV, I believe it was called. It's like a big multimedia device, it looked like. I don't know too much about that one. And then there's this. It was one of the earliest 32-bit consoles in the 5th gen of consoles, which most of us know of as having the PS1 and Saturn and Nintendo 64, but this was one of the earlier ones alongside the 3DO and Jaguar, among others. But this console only lasted a year. There's a few reasons for that. So, like I said, it was released in 1993, but originally it was first released in Europe, and in 1994 they were trying to get it released in the US, but Commodore had a big debt that they had to pay there, and so they weren't able to release it. And what instead they did was take those unsold US units to Canada to be sold there. And this is actually the Canadian version, which is extremely rare. I managed to get lucky and find this on eBay like about a week ago. Yeah, this is NTSC, because the European one obviously is going to be PAL, and you know, that's going to be annoying to use here. But yeah, this is a very rare console, probably the rarest console that I own. I really like the design of it. It kind of reminds me of like the Turbo Duo a little bit. It also kind of reminds me of the Genesis or Mega Drive with it boasting 32-bit right on the top. So what this is basically an Amiga 1200 computer, but consoleized. And like they basically just took out the main guts of the computer, just, you know, without a mouse and keyboard and stuff like that. Although there's actually some expansions that you can add a mouse and keyboard to this, and a hard drive and such like that. And, you know, this was something I've always been kind of interested in tapping into, the Commodore stuff. I don't really have too much experience with anything Commodore related, except for like trying it on an emulator a while back, but like when I was younger, but that was about it. Because Commodore stuff was never really that popular in the US. The Commodore 64 did exist, so did the Amiga Computers, but like once things like the NES and Genesis and stuff were coming out, nobody really owned those computers. And especially by the early 90s, PC, IBM PC, or DOS, was the computer of choice for most people in the US. Whereas in places like Europe, it was a different story. The Commodore 64 was a very popular system there. So was the Amiga line of computers. It wasn't until like the mid-90s when PC took over as Amiga hardware started becoming more outdated. This console didn't have a large library of games, unfortunately, because like I said, it only lasted about a year. It came out in 1993 and then was discontinued by 94 because Commodore went out of business because of that debt that they had to pay, among other reasons. So we're gonna be taking a look at this console. I'm gonna just show you all like parts of it, but I'm gonna take a look at all the other contents that came inside the case. Alright, so next up we got the Amiga CD32 controller. Let's unwrap it. Yeah, this is, you might think it's upside down, but no, this is how it's supposed to look. It's kind of weird looking. I'm gonna try holding it just to see how it feels. Oh yeah, it was upside down. But yeah, this is what the Amiga CD32 controller looks like. It has a funny shape. It's like the grips are going upwards instead of downwards like most other controllers. Let's see, it has the D-pad, which is kind of weird D-pad. Then it has 4 buttons, which is interesting because the Amiga PCs, they have a joystick with only 1 button. I think sometimes 2. And unfortunately, a lot of games on Amiga computers, as well as the Commodore 64, they had to compromise a lot of things to work with just the 1 button. As a result, you have a bunch of platformers on it that you press up to jump, which most of us know how annoying that is. And yeah, so see, this has that D-pad, 4 face buttons, and an L and R button. This one, the L button's kind of stuck. This came with 2 controllers. I'll look at the other one and see if the L button is better there, but yeah. Look at the port, it has that same style as the Genesis or the Atari 2600. other consoles that mainly around in the 80s used the DIN 9 port, because the Commodore 64 and the Amiga computers, they use controllers that had that port. I don't know if you could use a Genesis controller on this. I gotta check. They actually have another controller that I always see whenever I see CD32s on eBay that looks like a third-party Genesis controller, actually. Here we have the power brick, the power supply. Look at how heavy this thing is. It's like you could freaking kill someone with it. It's so massive. Like, it's first party too. You see the Commodore logo right there. There's a sticker that says "Just in Entertainment Inc." See, this is the port for it, which is proprietary. So that means if you go looking for a CD32 on eBay or something, I advise you to make sure it has a power brick. I think they do have third-party ones, but yeah, I just recommend getting a first-party one. And just to confirm, yeah, here it's a North American style connector, because that's another thing. Like I said earlier, the more common CD32s you see are the PAL versions, so they're gonna have either a UK plug or a mainland European style plug, which, you know, that's not going to work here since the ports are completely different. So yeah, this. Then we have just standard AV. It's just yellow, white, and red. Nothing special about this. A bunch, but and just gonna open the other controller real quick and see. Okay, yeah, this one is better. Both buttons work, and the D-pad actually feels better on it. Probably should open this and clean it up. But yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. The start select button. The Amiga CD32 manual. Looks like it has some sort of water damage, but it's the getting started guide. Take a look at this. Consumer information, just like a safety guide. You know, all consoles usually come with things like this. Just when I'm going to take a look at this one too much, it's nothing really special. And then here's this envelope with a key for the suitcase that this stuff came in, which, yeah, the suitcase itself apparently was property of a company called Bit Surf Snowboards, and the particular CD32 that I have is actually a unit that they demoed some unreleased game, according to the eBay seller, which that's pretty cool actually. Now, I wasn't interested in getting it with that big suitcase, as it made things more expensive, but the seller was able to accept a lower offer I made, and well, here we are. I got it. Now we're going to take a look at what the other box is. This little white box that came, because there's some other stuff that this CD32 came with. Alright, so there's some games in this box. And I also got something else to show you after. Alright, so we're gonna see what games this came with. So, first up we have this game called Mean Arenas. Never actually heard of this game, but it looks like a bunch of maze games. I'm gonna be checking those out. Then there's a sealed game. It's pretty cool. Chaos Engine. This was actually one of the games I wanted to get if I ever got a CD32. This is a run and gun. It's an overhead style run and gun. See in the back of the case here. CD32 games, they just came in regular standard CD jewel cases like this, which is pretty good. I like those kinds of jewel cases. And then last we have Microcosm. I actually had this on the Sega CD. It was a spaceship shooter game in like a 3D-ish perspective. Kind of like Star Fox, except if I remember clearly, you go inside of someone or something like that. It looked like you were inside like intestines for some reason. I played it on the Sega CD and I didn't really care for it. It was like an FM. The whole background was an FMV thing while you controlled the ship. But maybe this version is better because the Sega CD one looked terrible. Because Sega CD video quality isn't the best. But also, I even had another game that I actually bought in January for a good deal. It was actually sealed. And I said to myself, I'm never gonna unseal it until I get a CD32. And here's Zool, which I like Zool on other systems, so I had to get the CD32 version. Which, if you don't know, Zool is actually supposed to be a mascot for the Amiga computers. Like, it was made to be their version of like a Sonic the Hedgehog or a Mario, but on the Amiga, which for a while it was an Amiga exclusive. It wasn't until maybe a year later they started making versions of Zool on other systems like the SNES and Genesis and the Game Gear and the Master System. They had versions of Zool. And now I'm going to be unsealing this. Alright. Here's the live unsealing. Live in the flesh. Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. Compared to the original Amiga version, this one has more levels and a completely different soundtrack. Zool 1 is a weird case where every version of it on any other system was completely different as far as the level designs go. Whereas the Amiga and DOS version, I believe, they're the only ones with the original level designs. We have Zool, Ninja of the Nth Dimension. It's pretty cool looking disc art. If you guys saw the AVGN CD32 video, this is the game that he read at the very end of the episode that says, "Do not play track 1 on a CD player." I don't have this yet, but I am getting Zool 2 for the CD32. Zool 2, the only other console it was ever on was the Jaguar, which I have that version. The CD32 version actually has an extra level and different music. In a bit, we're going to be just taking a look at the console itself, taking a look at all angles of it, and then we're gonna get to testing it. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, so now we have the top of the console here, the CD32, which, as I said earlier, it's 32-bit. This is the disk drive. Here's the reset button. Here's the, I believe this bottom light here is the loading access light, and top is the power LED. There's a volume slider and a headphone jack, just like the Genesis Model 1 had. It's 32-bit. It's the disk drive, it just lifts up. Yeah, it doesn't close very securely, it seems. Just like a lot of these other earlier CD-based systems. That's why on the AVGN episode you see him put a paint can on top of it. But I was told that this one actually closes securely, so we'll see about that when I plug it in. Here's the two controller ports and an aux cord on the side. I don't know what this port it actually does, but yeah, the controller ports are on the side, which is a bit strange, but yeah. Then here's the ports on the back. We got the power switch, which is on the back, and we got this. It's probably a port for the oh, that's the power port. I see the little lightning bolt. Here's an RF port. Oddly, it doesn't have a channel selection. Wait, oh, I think I see it actually. Yeah, I see it here. But we're not gonna be using RF, but as you can tell, it just uses the same standard RF port like the NES and the SNES and all other consoles of that era. Then here's the AV port and S-video port, which is pretty cool. And then this expansion bay. As I was saying, you could get things like hard drives and other accessories to make it more like an Amiga computer. And there's nothing on the right side. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a pretty heavy system. It's a lot heavier than I expected. Reset button seems to click fine. Yeah, I can't wait to plug this in. I'm pretty excited to try this out. And we'll take a look at the back real quick. Here's model Amiga CD, made in the Philippines. Manufactured January 1994. Makes sense. Like I said, the NTSC version, the US one at least, was set to be released in 1994, but they couldn't release it for, you know, their money that they owed. Alright, so I got everything set up now, and we're going to be testing Zool. I already put the game inside. See a little bit of the disc inside the CD tray. It's closed. Hopefully it's secure and reads though. We're going to turn it on. Got it plugged into the TV. And right, let me turn the DVD on. And let me turn this. Ready, let's go. Oh, it's loaded. early CGI cutscene is pretty cool. I love seeing things like that. More loading. Warning, just oh wow. Yeah. All right. So I guess I can't use this. Yeah, so as you can see, Zool happened to be region locked. Now, one thing I have heard about the CD32 is that if you had an Amiga mouse, you can switch the region at the boot up menu. So what I did was I found on eBay they had a mouse converter that you convert a PS2 mouse, like for the PC, the green port, usually on older PCs. They have a converter that you convert that to run on an Amiga, so I bought one of those. It's about 20 bucks. And we're gonna wait till that comes and then test out Zool. But in the meantime, I'm gonna test some of the other games that we got here. First up, we're gonna do the Chaos Engine. One sec. Oh, also, I forgot to mention before, but the CD32, being an earlier CD console, reads burned discs. So, you know what that means. Maybe I can possibly mod Zool and burn it to another CD, or maybe find if they released an NTSC copy at some point. Alright, so I got Chaos Engine in here. We're gonna try that out. Ready, go. This console takes pretty long to boot.
Sometime in the last century, an experimenter in time and space created a bizarre machine, the Chaos Engine. Although primitive, the machine became incredibly powerful and turned against its creator. Its power to corrupt time and matter was out of control. A cloud of chaos descended over the land. Humans and animals were turned into ravenous beasts. Someone must destroy the Chaos Engine before it is too late. 6 soldiers of fortune are available for hire. The gentleman, the thug, the preacher, the brigand, the mercenary, the navvy.
A pretty cool intro. I know this game was also on the regular Amiga. I don't know if it had that intro though, but it out. Should I be? I'll be this guy. Face looks funny. Maybe I'll be this guy. The beginning.
Layers activated. Node activated.
Crap.
Layers activated.
I don't know, it looked like there was a secret path there.
Layers saved. Layers activated.
Oh, thank God there's checkpoints.
Special power. Exit open. Level complete.
Oh, this is pretty cool so far.
Layers activated. Node activated. Special activated. Special activated.
That's the wrong button.
Layers saved.
What? Let's see if there's anything.
Boom. Special power.
Yeah, I gotta play more of that sometime. The game is pretty cool so far. Alright, so next up we're gonna try a different game. We're gonna try Mean Arenas. Real quick though, I want to turn the console on without a game. See what it does. Has that boot up logo and jingle, which I've seen before on YouTube. It's pretty cool. I'm gonna put Mean Arenas in right now. See how that game is. This game I've never heard of at all, so I'm gonna be trying it out. Alright, here we go, it's booting. Pretty much the cover there.
Hi there, I'm Buzz McLeod and this is Bob Bilinsky.
Hello.
Welcome to tonight's edition of...
I really love music on the Amiga games. They always have some really good sounding stuff on it, on games for the Amiga systems.
Robozone coming up. He's got a long way to go.
Yes, indeed. It's broken.
Contestant ready.
It's like a Pac-Man sort of game.
Oh, yes.
Crap.
Contestant ready. All good play.
He took a hit. Oh, yes.
Did you see that?
Yes, indeed.
Did you see that?
Oh, yes.
Go for it, man. What a guy.
Oh, yes.
He took a hit. Contestant ready.
He's trying to hit. Go for it, man. Marvelous.
Dungeon zone coming up. You'd better watch out for the Guardians.
Yes.
Alright, so I tried the Mean Arenas game and just beat a level. It's pretty fun, just a little maze sort of game like Pac-Man. And now I'm gonna try Microcosm. Well, this is weird. I don't know what's going on. It's like glitching up. I just saw something. See something. Yeah, this one doesn't seem to do anything. I don't know. Microcosm is free with Spectacular Voyage from Commodore. I wonder what that is. The disc is actually pretty clean too, so can't be the disc. I have a feeling it's probably because the console's NTSC and not PAL, but yeah, no, it keeps glitching up. And I don't think the disk drive is bad because the other games were running just fine. It's just this one is acting strange, and it's not even really scratched. I don't even see any scratches on it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna wait again and see if this works, but I mean, this game is something that I've played before on Sega CD. So I do know what this game is like. Oh, here we go. That, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Yeah, this one looks a lot cleaner than the Sega CD version from what I remember. Sega CD version was, the video in the background looked worse. Yeah, I don't know why it keeps flashing like that. I think it has something to do with the console speed. But I gotta look into that. But this is pretty distracting that it keeps like flashing like that. And I'm probably dying. Yeah, I don't. This is pretty unplayable. Well, when it keeps flashing like the way it was. I beat the level. Yeah, this is pretty distracting that it keeps flashing. I gotta look into it and see maybe if it's something wrong with the console. Next, we're gonna try Zool once the mouse adapter comes in, so stay tuned to that. Alright, so a couple days went by, and I got a mouse adapter for the CD32. See, check this out. It's a converter that allows you to plug a PS2 style mouse, see the green port, to an Amiga controller port, or the CD32 in my case, and it came with this mouse. I don't really need this mouse, but that's good. And they also sent me this Haribo. You know, pretty cool. That was pretty nice of them. So we're gonna be testing this mouse out, and we're gonna try Zool again and set the system to PAL and see what happens. All right, so let's go. All right, so I got everything set up. I got Zool in there right now, and I have the mouse adapter plugged into controller port 2, as that's what I read that you're supposed to do. And so I'm gonna turn it on and try to change the region. All right, let's go. I have to press both mouse buttons. I don't know how hard or how long yet. Okay, here we go. Boot options, no. Display options, yes. PAL, use. I don't know what this does, so. Let's go to boot. Yeah, as you can see, because the DVD recorder only does 480p, since I set it to PAL, it's cutting off part of the screen and it looks funny. I'm gonna switch my TV to the TV display itself. And see, now it's showing up as it should. I'm gonna show you camera footage right now. It's showing how it was when I had it in NTSC. And I'm gonna try it on another TV I have that works with PAL and see if maybe that helps anything. Alright. I'm gonna play it for a little bit. Get ready. Wait a little bit. Yeah, it takes pretty long. Honestly, I'm kind of glad that this game only works in PAL, because Zool is a game that it's really fast, and whenever I played like other versions, like the one on the Genesis, in NTSC, it goes way too fast. I mean, it's still fun, but it gets a little too fast. At least now I'm playing it at the proper speed. But yeah, I'm glad that it's working. All I just have to do is go to the menu when I turn the system on. I'm just gonna beat this level, and we'll conclude the video. The one thing I will say about this version in particular of Zool, compared to like other versions, even the original Amiga version, which I've tried a bit on an emulator, is I think they went a little too crazy with the backgrounds. Like, it's just so much stuff crammed in the background. I mean, it's cool, but like, it's too busy. The other versions are usually just a solid color, or they have like mountains or something. Alright. There we go, I beat this level. Alright, so that's it for now. Overall, I'm really glad with my purchase of the CD32. I mean, it was a bit expensive because it's a pretty rare console, especially the NTSC version, which I have. But I wanted to have a version that works perfectly fine on my main TV. And yeah, plus I also just wanted to check out some Amiga stuff without having to actually get an Amiga computer set up, because you know that's going to take up a lot of space. Plus there's a lot more configuring that you have to do, whereas a CD32 is a console. You could just plug it to the TV and put the game in, and assuming the game itself is fine and or the system can read games, it should work. I was a little disappointed with Zool being region locked. I had no idea about that. I assumed that the CD32 can read any region games, except that it'll just run in a higher speed. And you know, I was also just interested in the history behind the console. It's a fascinating backstory, you know, with how it was never released here because of unfortunate situations with Commodore in the US, and it was the last thing they ever made before they had to go out of business in '94, you know. So I want to get some more games for it, maybe try some burn games. Like, they have some compilations of regular Amiga floppy disk games, like for the computers, that you can put on the CD32, and I'm going to be trying that out in the future once I get that all situated, because you know, I want to try some more Amiga stuff. I've tried it on an emulator, but I want to try it on authentic hardware. You know, like I want to try like more of like the Turrican games, or like, if you don't know what that is, they look like pretty cool run-and guns. I have one of them on the Genesis, which is pretty fun. And you know, I want to try some other stuff. Alright, so as always, more to come. Thanks for watching and stay tuned. Bye now.